Hello everybody and welcome to a new beginning for this channel. So before we get into the video, I want to give you guys an update on what's going on with the channel and what direction I'm thinking of taking it in. And please give your feedback in the comments because I want to know if this is the right direction. I'm going to try it out for a week, and if I like it and I think it's going the right way, we're going to do it pretty much forever. And if I don't like it, we'll go back to normal. But I asked my morning open stream about this yesterday, and all of them seemed to be on the same page that I was. So I want to introduce this concept to you and let me know in the comments what you think, because you guys are the viewers who will be engaging and viewing with this content. So it definitely affects you, and I would love to know what you guys think. I am thinking of taking the channel to a direction of one video a day. So if you've been following my channel since 2021, really the way I've grown on YouTube, hyper-focused on Palantir. Honestly, that's the only stock in the market that I really care about doing that much due diligence and making content around, right? If I'm actually going to put the time to make content, I want to do it on one of the most innovative companies in the world, and that is Palantir. And I've been doing it since 2021. And number two is, 3-4 videos a day, sometimes 2 videos a day. I've gotten to the point where I can do 5 videos a day. Like I've put out a lot of videos. And the reason I've been able to put out a lot of videos is because I see a topic, I internalize a topic, I try to think, okay, how can I talk for 10 to 15 minutes and provide value in that topic? And after almost 2,000 videos, it seems like people have found enough value in that content to subscribe and stay and support the channel. I want to move the channel in a different direction, which is not this kind of one-off. If Palantir, releases some product or there's some news update, you just do one video on that one piece of news. I want it to actually become a show. So the way I'm thinking about it is every day, if you could tap into the show for 20 to 25 minutes. I'm going to try to keep it from 15 to 20, but it's probably going to average around that 20-minute range. And there's chapters in the video, and you can just jump to the parts of news that you want to jump in. Would that be a better way to give more valuable content? So what I mean by that is every single day, and if you're following me on Twitter, there is a lot of news to cover on Palantir philosophically, markets, news, updates, contracts, what's CARP saying, AI, LLMs. This is the most innovative company, in my opinion, at the center of a technological revolution that is artificial intelligence, and at a time of geopolitical crisis where people really think Palantir is going to play a big role in the world, where there's just more news than can even be covered. If I could do one video every day with about 4 chapters, 5 chapters, probably 4 to 5 segments on average, where I talk about what's going on in the news in that 20 to 25 minute video, I want to know in the comments, please let me know what you think. Is that a better way for you to engage with content on the channel? Is that better than having 1,000 thumbnails flying around from me every day in your feed, and you see the thumbnails like, I don't feel like clicking on this video, that's not that interesting? Or one video every day, a bunch of segments, and within those segments you can skip to whichever segments you want, or for those 20 minutes, even if it's just playing in the background, you tune into a Myths channel for 20 minutes a day, you got all your updates, got all your news, hopefully you got some humor with it because I'm naturally funny, all that stuff. And then you move on with your day. And I think with the market open, that's going really well every single day. On the market open, people tune in for about 75 minutes. They get news, they get updates, they get some humor, they move on with their day, and they come back the next day, do it all over again. I kind of want that to be the way that people engage with my channel instead of finding some random video here and there. And that doesn't mean we're not going to do interviews and stuff like that, but every day, Monday through Friday, one 20-minute video, maybe comes out 11:30 a.m. every single day. You click on it. You don't have to click it every day. I understand people have lives and they need to spend time with their girlfriends and stuff. I don't know anything about that. But if you could click on it for 20 minutes, engage with the content, enjoy it, get updated, and then move on with your day and then come back the next day, I think that would be a better way to grow the channel, and more people would be interested writ large because there's retention, because they're coming back, because it's not random videos flying in their face. There's just one video they know every day, whatever time they watch it. Those are the updates for the day. So let me know what you think. We're going to get into the updates for today on Palantir, but really curious what you have to think. I think that's the better way to take the channel in a different direction, to make it more sustainable, to not have a trillion thumbnails flying at you, but one a day. You click it, you don't click it, but that's the thing for the day. And then we move on from there. So please let me know if you think that's a better direction to take the channel. All right. Let's get into the news. So first thing we got to talk about is price action on Palantir. Let's start right there. Here you go. Palantir at $17.85. It's about 11:45 where I'm recording this right now, Eastern Standard Time. In the market open, we were at $18.40. So we saw a pretty big spike on Palantir to $18.40, up another 3% from being up 3% yesterday. Overall in the week, I think it's up around 14-15%, which is just absolutely insane price action. We talked early on Monday why it was getting this premium, and a lot of this had to do with the defense contractor premium that Palantir was receiving from the market. Obviously, the horrific attacks happened in Israel from Hamas, so the market was like, look, which companies are going to be required in this new world order we're entering into, where we have terrorist attacks that are happening at this type of level? Probably companies that are specializing in cybersecurity. We saw those stocks come up, and defense contractors, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, they went up as well. Palantir is kind of a combination of a software defense contractor, what they like to call themselves the world's first or the America's first software prime. So you're not, calling them to make guns or helicopters, but you're calling them to procure software to stop things like this from happening or to mitigate the problems that are happening when things end up going bad. So that's why Palantir is getting that premium. In addition to why Palantir ran yesterday is because officially this news was announced. The Army awards Palantir a AI ML contract in support of JAD C2 capabilities. This was the $250 million contract up until 2026 that Palantir made official yesterday on their press release, which is why I think they ran up another 3-4%. But it's something that we as retail knew since September 26. A quote from Akash Jain, president of USG: "We're honored to expand our partnership with the Army to continue delivering the most innovative technologies and advanced data applications across the armed services, maturing new concepts for how far we deploy situations in different contexts is maintaining our nation's competitive advantage, and we appreciate the opportunity to support this mission." Remember, this was the exact same contract, word for word, Palantir got September 2022 for 1 year, $43 million. That contract expired on September 28th, 2023. So the Army decided, all right, we're not just going to give it to you for 1 year, we're going to give it to you for 3 years, and instead of doing $43 million a year, we're going to do $83 million a year. And so $250 million 3-year contract, a pretty big deal. Now, this is what I said yesterday on Twitter, and this was kind of the core point I wanted to make, which is the opportunity is where the alpha has yet to be discovered. The opportunity in the stock market and in these high innovative tech stocks is where the alpha has yet to be discovered, which is why the Palantir retail investing community, YouTube, Twitter, all of us talking together, crowdsourcing information, is becoming goated. The 3% run in Palantir today after a 6.8% run yesterday is because they finally announced a $250 million contract. The news hit Wall Street's Bloomberg terminals and they realized $83 million a year to do AI research maybe means Palantir is not an AI imposter and they should probably buy the stock. Retail, you and I, found out about this contract on this very platform on Twitter and YouTube within seconds of it being posted on the DoD contracting website on September 26th. So the stock fell in the coming days to $13.90. I bought the dip. I know many people bought the dip. And people in retail bought it because a $250 million AI contract is simply nothing to scoff at. We did a little bit more research than Wall Street. Research meaning we went to the DoD website and we're able to generate alpha from $13.09 to $18.20. Right now it's at $17.80 because we saw the new first, crowdsourced it within the community, and then we're able to make a choice on if it warranted a reason to buy the dip. So the only reason this is happening is because Palantir is one of the most misunderstood companies in the world, and there's such a massive community on the internet trying to study, understand this company, and really figure out, look, is there alpha to be gained on this company? And if there is alpha, what research can we do that Wall Street or the hedge funds aren't really doing? How can we get a better understanding of this company? And then when we actually find the news, like a $250 million contract before it's PR'd and the stock drops, maybe that's a reasonable way for us to say, hey, yeah, there's going to be some alpha here. Let's buy the dip. Now, another note on this $250 million contract. This contract is just for AI research. Again, a lot of companies are saying, hey, AI is going to explode our revenue, it's going to give us a ton of growth, it's going to blah, 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 blah. There's not that many companies outside of big tech, obviously Google, Nvidia, Microsoft, those guys, that are showing tangible results via AI in their earnings. And I think Q3 for companies like Google and Microsoft are probably going to show that AI is actually impacting the amount of money they make. But for the vast majority of tech companies, especially those that are public that have said, hey, AI is going to be a big catalyst for us, so far it's all been talk and they've gotten the premium in their stock, including Palantir, but they haven't really shown it in results. Now, this $250 million contract, I don't know necessarily how that's going to impact Q3 or Q4 earnings, and we're actually going to talk about if Palantir is overvalued or not a little bit later in the show. But you can't argue that $83 million a year to do AI research, and I don't even know if that means making products for the government, but just doing research means that the DoD is recognizing that this is one of those companies that actually is going to help us modernize, actually going to help us be built for this new world order we're getting into, especially with all these geopolitical crises. And AI is materializing in real dollars for Palantir. They're not just saying it. $250 million over 3 years. Wall Street definitely not scoffing at that, giving Palantir that 3% premium on top of giving a 6% premium over the past couple of days, simply because $250 million is $250 million bucks just for AI research. Makes sense why Palantir is getting the premium. Okay, now outside of the $250 million contract, I want to talk about some macro-related reasons why Palantir is doing well. A couple of things that's important to understand around why Palantir is in this $17, $18 range. Number one, the US 10-year yield on the 10-year treasury bond has come down, and it's come down pretty aggressively. So the yield was at 4.9 last week. People were very scared it was going to inch over 5%. Currently, 4.569. Pretty steep decline from 4.9 to 4.56, primarily because the equity markets are realizing that, look, maybe that risk-free rate of return of 4.9% is still not going to, A, be better than inflation when you look at real returns, and B, be worth it if the stock market continues to do well. Well, then the question becomes, why would the stock market continue to do well? And this is where we have to look at the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is the index for the 500 companies, the 500 biggest companies in America. S&P 500, as you can see right here, on October 3rd was $420.18, or October 4th. We just went under the 200-day moving average. We touched 419 last week as well. That 200-day moving average validated an official 10% correction from the high of the S&P at around 460 to where we got to 10%, which was 420, 419. As a result of that, when you tend to hit the 200-day moving average and inflation is still coming down, you're likely going to see some capitulation, but the problem was yields on these bonds were continuing to go higher. So all tech stocks, all stocks in general, it's just higher for them to go up if the yields keep going higher on these bonds, which means people are taking their money out of the stock market and they want to get a risk-free return. If that yield is coming down, we just hit the 200-day moving average on the S&P 500. We had that 10% correction, and equities are starting to feel a bit oversold, and they capitulated near that bottom of around 419, 420. This is when Palantir was at $13.90, SoFi was at $7. You saw a lot of these companies kind of materially decline. Nvidia, that's at $460 today, was at $412. You saw some pretty harsh declines in some of these stocks. They're going to start to get some momentum. So outside of Palantir getting this defense contractor premium, $250 million contract premium, potential signs of the NHS contract that's likely going to happen. We got that Bloomberg article last week that basically confirmed Palantir is going to get $600 million from the NHS. The macro economy itself is starting to get to a point where there can be the potential for Palantir to have an end of year rally, just like all these other stocks might have an end of year rally as well. On top of that, we had PPI data come out today. CPI is going to come out tomorrow, the consumer price index. Today, we have the producer price index. How much are producers paying for the goods that consumers ultimately are going to have to buy? And on 3 out of 4 of the metrics, we came in hotter than expected. On one of the metrics, which was month over month PPI, we came in hotter than expected, but better than the month before. So in August, we came in at around 0.7%. This month, we came in at 0.5, which was greater than the expectations of 0.3, but at least it's a 0.2 reduction from 0.7. On all the other metrics like core PPI month over month, core PPI year over year, we came in hotter than expected and worse than the month before. So PPI was not amazing, but it was a little bit lower, and it seems like the market's getting to this point in terms of the macro where the news can be not the best, but the market can still swallow it and handle it because we just had a 10% correction. All of this leading to equities going higher. Okay, now one quick thing I want to point out before we talk about valuation is a breaking piece of news. We'll probably be talking about this a lot more on the podcast and in different videos. But yesterday, Palantir launched 2 mixed reality products. This was not an official PR. This was released on LinkedIn, but we kind of knew about this. Again, retail, we saw that Karp during one of his interviews was sitting behind one of these like mixed reality headset devices, and it said coming soon if you kind of put the words together. And on top of that, we saw Palantir job openings for the same mixed reality type of headline. So what Palantir announced is a Palantir mixed reality service, an open extensible data service built to enable all mixed reality applications with human-driven data, AI-assisted actionable insights. Palantir's mixed reality service is powered by the Foundry Service Mesh and the Ontology Software Development Kit, the OSDK. This came out a couple of weeks ago when Palantir introduced government web services. They also launched the first Palantir ontology-powered mixed reality application, Immersive Command and Control, IC2. It delivers a rich integration with the entire data enterprise. And what Palantir is looking to do here is be the operating system for a Microsoft HoloLens, for an Apple Vision Pro, etc. So they are not looking to compete in the hardware section of mixed reality devices, which I think makes a lot of sense. That's not their goal. That's not what they're trying to do. What they're really trying to do is say, hey, these mixed reality VR, AR devices that are probably going to be central to the battlefield, especially as, wars tend to happen across the world that we're seeing, and people are going to have to wear these devices on the battlefield. There's going to be a lot of AI, a lot of machine learning, and there's going to be a lot of data digestion and integration that's going to be happening literally in real time on this battlefield headset if we continue to have more geopolitical conflicts, which would be beneficial to have something like a Palantir mixed reality service that is powered via their ontology on top of an actual piece of hardware. So this picture you can see right here in the previous interview in CNBC last week. This is where we saw this kind of mixed reality headset. IC2 is the exact name of what they're calling their current product, which is immersive command and control. Okay, last segment for the day, valuation. I've gotten a lot of questions from people saying, hey, 18 bucks, 17 bucks. I got an average of 10. I got an average of 7. I've got an average of 12. Should I be selling? Should I be taking some off the table? Is this way too overvalued for Palantir? Why are they up 15% in 1 week? What's going on? Let's discuss and break down valuation. So I have a couple of layers to this. I think the first layer I want to discuss is the actual stock price itself and kind of just give a little bit of analysis on where we are in regards to the stock price and because we have earnings coming up in a month. So let's go through the stock price over the past 6 months. Okay. We were at $19.99. I think we hit even $20.24. That was the high on August 1st. So Palantir, a little bit higher than what it is right now, but kind of in the same range. August 7th is where we had earnings. So if you look at August 7th, we were at $17.99. Today we're at like $17.90, right? So basically the same exact price. August 7th, that's where we had earnings. After hours, the company reported $533 million of revenue, 13% year-over-year growth, $1 billion in buybacks, 300 potential AIP clients. Okay, that $17.99 went up to like $18.30 in the after hours. So pretty good, not horrible, right? Stock went up. Then what ended up happening is we got to $14.40 August 18th, which was 11 days after August 7th. So we declined from 18 bucks to 14 bucks. And then we kind of stayed in this channel from 14 to 16 for the next month until at the end of September, we got down to the 1390s and then 1415s. Then we got this NHS contract update. And what's gone on over the past week has kind of propelled us right back to the same price we were at on August 7th. Now, if you look at the S&P 500, the S&P 500 was around $450, $455 during the same time where Palantir was at $18. So last time Palantir was at $18, right now it's at $17.90. The S&P was at its 2023 high. We were up, I think, 15, 16% year to date. Now the S&P is not at 450, not 460. It's at 435. And Palantir's at the same price that the S&P was back when it was 460. So one could argue that yes, it is overvalued because a lot of what is being baked into the price is a premium on potential defense contracts that may happen because of what's going on with Israel and Hamas. Again, I think that is the obvious reason Palantir is up 5%, at least on Monday after the news broke over the weekend, because the market thought, hey, defense contractors deserve a premium. And because of AI. AI is going to be their AIP platform that hasn't really created real revenue yet. So the market's factoring in that revenue will come. So they're giving them the premium. And then on top of that, you got this defense contracting premium. Those are the two reasons why Palantir is up this week, this month, 13%, and over the past 5 days, 15%. Now, stock price is at the same level where the S&P was, or where it was back in August 7th when the S&P was at 460. The S&P is not at those 2023 highs. So one could argue that if the market's giving it a defense premium and a AI premium, but none of that is correlated to any of the actual revenue growth in the company, and Q3 earnings is what we're going to see if the revenue growth is coming from any of those premiums the market gives it, then those premiums may be prematurely given to a company, and that's why it's overvalued, right? So this is what we saw when it went from 18 bucks to 14 bucks after Q2 earnings. It was because Q2 earnings just weren't good, right? You can't report 13% year-over-year revenue growth and expect that the market's going to be like, okay, this is a major growth company, we have to get invested, yada, yada, yada. Because, I mean, it's not good revenue growth, and $1 billion in share buybacks is not going to save you. So one could absolutely argue that the defense premium and the AI premium baked into the company right now at 18 bucks, which is the same price it was at when the S&P was 30 points higher than it was right now. So the S&P was 8% higher than it was right now when Palantir was at the same price, leads people to think that the company could be overvalued. Now, that's the bear case for the overvaluation. And look, if you want to sell and take your profits, then you have to sell and take your profits. That is an individual choice you want to make. Personally, if I had an average that was at 7 bucks, I don't have that average, I would never be selling a single share because I want to hold this thing for the next 10 years and create generational wealth. That is my philosophy on it. But if you have an average of 15 bucks, 14 bucks, you want to take some off the table, that's totally fine. At the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. And there's nothing wrong with taking a little bit of profits and just waiting for a dip and then going back in or allocating it somewhere else. So I think if you're looking for an answer on that question, it's just a question of, do you want to hold it and continue to have gains and have a long-term mindset, or do you want to trim a little and allocate that capital somewhere else? Now, I spoke to a fund manager yesterday who has a couple 100,000 shares of Palantir, manages 30, 40 million bucks. And he said to me that, look, valuation is tough for this company because it's benefiting from a lot of macro factors, i.e. AI, defense, overall equity is starting to go up. It could be classically overvalued, but he said the growth rate is likely accelerating. This is what we're seeing with AIP customer growth. Recently became profitable. And in Q3, which we're going to get in November, so about less than a month from now, we are likely going to see them become profitable for the 4th consecutive quarter in a row, which means the S&P 500 will be waiting for them in 2024. And when that happens, fund managers across the world have to own a little bit of Palantir to meet their fund allocation requirements. So even if it is classically overvalued, which that is subjective at this point, you can agree for that, you can disagree with that. I gave you the case for why it's overvalued. The other argument is, look, a lot of these companies, Tesla, Nvidia, Amazon, etc., they're always going to be overvalued, but the market's going to be willing to give them the premium. Retail is going to be willing to buy the stock. People are willing to be excited for the company if they see the growth coming in the future, which obviously we're seeing Palantir have some incredible AIP growth as per their last AIP con, and they're seeing the potential of the company, and you're really making a bet on that potential, which means those companies are always going to be overvalued, and that's the fun part about investing in a high growth tech stock. You're going to see tons of different times of overvaluation, but you're going to probably enjoy it because that's what it means to invest in a high growth tech company. On the downside, it's volatile. On the upside, it is also very volatile. The other thing the fund manager said to me is that a lot of companies are talking about getting AI contracts, whereas this $250 million contract Palantir is getting $60 million from the NIH, potentially $688 million from the NHS. They're actually getting material contracts. And so if we're seeing the operationalization of AI in the defense space, where we know there's billions of dollars being invested from the private markets to AI startups, specifically for defense tech, and Palantir is one of the big public companies actually getting those contracts, the real contracts, then there is a world in which the market decides to give it that premium, keep that premium, and maybe even take it higher because they see more of those contracts coming in the future. So that's it for me today. Palantir, 1794 we're seeing today. I had a high of 1844. We'll see if the momentum can continue. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are you selling Palantir? Are you taking some off the table? Are you shorting it? Are you buying puts? Are you buying more? Let me know what you think. I would love to know kind of what your thoughts are. I am not a buyer in this range. Personally, I like buying below 15, and I've been saying that for the past couple months. So below 15 is where I get interested to buy. If I do buy, I will let you guys know. But at this price, not really a big buy for me. And finally, let me know. Do you like the format? Do you like many more segments? I think this video might be a little bit longer than 20 minutes, maybe 25, 30. But let me know, is one video a day better for you? You get to tune in, get all the updates, get all the information, and move on with your life. Or do you like seeing a bunch of thumbnails in your feed from a bunch of different videos and you pick from there? Please let me know, because it's going to really determine the trajectory of the channel and how I continue to make content. All right, that's it. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. I really appreciate it. I will see you in the next one.